Many backyard chicken keepers believe they are feeding their chickens well. The birds get corn in the morning, some kitchen scraps during the day, maybe a handful of grain in the evening. The chickens run to the feeder. They eat eagerly. Nothing seems wrong. But weeks later, problems begin to appear. Eggshells become thin. Egg production drops. Some birds grow slower than others. Feathers look dull. And the common reaction is to assume the chickens are getting sick. But very often, the real cause is much simpler. It starts in the feeder. Because chickens may eat many different foods, but not all foods support their health. Some feeds strengthen the flock. Others quietly weaken it over time. Understanding that difference is one of the most important skills a chicken keeper can develop. If you care about building practical systems that keep chickens healthier and easier to manage, consider subscribing. This channel focuses on the everyday decisions that make a real difference on a small poultry setup. Now let's begin with the most important idea when it comes to feeding chickens: the foundation of the diet. Every healthy flock depends on a balanced base feed. Whether you raise layers or broilers, chickens require a mixture of protein, energy, vitamins, and minerals every single day. This balance is what allows the bird's body to grow, maintain feathers, and produce eggs. When that balance is correct, the flock remains strong and productive. When it is missing, problems begin slowly. One of the most common mistakes new chicken keepers make is replacing too much of the balanced feed with treats. Kitchen scraps, corn, bread, fruit. The chickens love these foods, so it feels natural to give them often. But treats contain far fewer nutrients than formulated poultry feed. When chickens fill up on scraps and grains, they eat less of the balanced diet their bodies actually require. The birds may feel full, but they are not properly nourished. For most backyard flocks, the majority of the daily diet should always come from quality poultry feed. Scraps and extras should only play a small supporting role. Once the foundation is correct, other foods can add variety and natural nutrition. For example, greens are very beneficial for chickens. Leafy vegetables like cabbage, lettuce, spinach, and garden weeds provide vitamins and minerals. They also encourage natural behavior. Chickens enjoy scratching, pecking, and tearing plant material. This keeps the flock active and reduces boredom inside the run. Another valuable food source for chickens is insects. In nature, chickens spend much of their time searching for small creatures in the soil. Earthworms, beetles, grasshoppers, larvae. These foods provide excellent protein. Protein supports feather growth, muscle development, and strong egg production. Backyard chickens that are allowed to forage often obtain these nutrients naturally. But when birds are confined to a smaller space, occasional protein treats, such as mealworms, can help mimic that natural diet. Still, even healthy additions must remain balanced. And this leads to another feeding mistake that is very common: too much grain. Corn, wheat, barley, and oats are popular feeds for chickens. They provide quick energy and are often used during colder months when birds need extra calories. But grains contain far less protein and fewer essential nutrients than balanced poultry feed. When chickens consume too much grain, they reduce their intake of the nutrients that support egg production and growth. In laying hens, this often leads to fewer eggs and weaker shells. In growing birds, it leads to slower development. Grains should always be treated as a supplement, not the main meal. Now, there's another part of feeding chickens that many beginners completely overlook: grit. Chickens do not have teeth. They cannot chew their food. Instead, food is ground inside the gizzard using small stones. These stones are called grit. Without grit, the digestive system cannot break down many foods properly. Chickens that free-range outdoors usually pick up small stones naturally. But birds kept in enclosed runs may not find enough grit on their own. Providing grit allows the digestive system to work efficiently. It is a small detail, but it makes a large difference to the bird's health. Of course, chicken keepers also enjoy sharing food from the kitchen with their flock. Many foods are safe when given occasionally. Fruits such as apples, berries, melons, and bananas are good examples. Chickens enjoy them, and they provide useful vitamins. But fruits also contain natural sugars. Too much fruit can upset digestion and lead to unnecessary weight gain. Bread is another food that chickens happily eat. A small amount now, and then will not harm the flock. But bread contains very little nutrition for chickens. If given too often, it fills the birds without providing the nutrients they actually need. Cooked rice and pasta fall into the same category. They are safe occasionally, but they should never replace balanced feed. The goal is always to keep the main diet strong. But there are also foods that chickens should never eat. One of the most important to avoid is avocado skin and pits. They contain a compound that can be harmful to birds. Chocolate is another food that should never be given to chickens. It contains substances that are toxic to many animals, including poultry. Moldy or spoiled food is also dangerous. Sometimes people assume chickens can safely eat food that humans would discard. But mold can produce toxins that quickly harm poultry. Always avoid feeding anything that has begun to spoil. Raw potato peels can also contain natural chemicals that are not safe for chickens. Highly salty or heavily processed foods should also be avoided. Chickens have small bodies and sensitive systems. Too much salt or artificial ingredients places unnecessary stress on their health. In the end, feeding chickens properly is not complicated, but it does require understanding a simple principle. A strong flock begins with a balanced diet. Quality poultry feed provides the foundation. Greens and natural protein sources add variety. Grains and treats should remain limited. Clean water must always be available. When these basics are followed consistently, the results become visible in the flock. Chickens grow stronger. Feathers look healthy. Eggshells become firm. And health problems appear far less often. Because good poultry keeping is not about reacting to problems after they happen. It is about building simple systems that prevent those problems in the first place. And one of the most important systems on any small poultry farm begins with the feeder. What goes into it every day shapes the health of the entire flock.